Hello, lovely. Welcome to the Find a Lovely Life podcast, a safe place for all self-love journeys. I'm your host, Monica Rodriguez, and for the past 7 years, I've been on a mission to learn how to love myself. Healing can be a really lonely journey, especially when you don't know where to start. So let's figure things out, cherish words that guide us, and of course, I'll share some of my lovely life lessons along the way. If you're looking for inspirational stories, conversations with some lovely souls, and a little life advice, I think you found the right place. Or maybe it found you. Let's try our best and find a lovely life together. Hello, lovely. Man, what a month, huh? I'm sure you're grieving and processing a lot of hope, a lot of change. It's funny, this is episode 10, and the 10th card in the major arcana in the tarot is the Wheel of Fortune. And I always find comfort in that card, knowing that the wheel will always turn. It never stays in the same position for too long. And of course, these are like external forces, right? So it might feel that way. I feel like these past few weeks have sort of been the precipice of like, we're finally going to turn the wheel forward to a place where everyone finally feels free, or moving in that direction at least, and we were robbed of it. I posted something on social, kind of like after I gave myself a week to process and grieve the election, which I'm still grieving. Grief comes in waves. And it's funny because I sort of like been talking to a lot of women of color that understand sort of like where we're at. Um, 2016 was sort of this race driven checkbox of reality check that I have also to check that box as a Latina. And 2020 was the year that I finally sort of like had to step in and like accept the identity and start sharing it with the world of my chronic illness, my invisible disability of being a type 1 diabetic, and how to navigate the world having to actually advocate for myself. And so, really important part of my self-love journey and my spiritual journey really happened when I started advocating for myself. And then cut to now, like 2024, I feel like we're sort of entering a race and gender sort of like awakening. And I check that box too. So can a girl catch a break? Can women of color catch a break? No. But that's how it's always been, right? Like, knowing that the odds are always stacked against you, knowing that like you have to run further, and acknowledging that is part of our existence, and trying to advocate for change and building community that uplifts everyone, not just one person, is sort of like the mission behind a lot of the things that I do in my life. And during 2020, I had the reality check of how ableist this society we live in is. And so it wasn't such a shock to me in 2024, 4 years later. Like, have we learned nothing? No, we did not. Because the point of an ableist society is that it benefits those that don't have to think about it. That it's easier to just move forward. It's easier to like pray about it. It's easier to like just picture like you cured of whatever chronic illness that you have and not let it affect their day to day. And it's exhausting coming out of that battle, especially in a world that just doesn't want you to be disabled because it inconveniences everyone else. And so, this episode, I really wanted to focus on sort of diving into entering this new cycle and this new beginning for yourself in your self love journey while we're battling those like waves of grief, because healing isn't ever going to be linear, and accepting every part of yourself, every identity, to make you feel more empowered in a world that wants to make you feel silent and that uses your disability as a form of weakness, or that there's something wrong with you, um, or that there is nothing wrong with you, which makes us invisible. Um, you can't wish for someone to be cured of their disease and not acknowledge who they are, living 17 years with it now. It it erases you. It erases them. And so I think a lot of that, because people do that, it makes you and your self-love journey be an extra mile you have to climb to deprogram the conversations and the comments and the thoughts that you should hide this part of yourself to make the world easier for everybody else. And so, my question to you, whether you're living with a disability, whether you are living with a chronic illness, or you're not, practicing that empathy for those that do hold the space to feel safe. I was talking to my therapist, as one does, and she made a point of like, I was talking about how like I feel so supported now with a lot of the friends that I've made, and we made a connection that, in fact, all of my really good friends that understood everything that I'm going through are also disabled in some way. And so there's like this collective unison of understanding of what it's like to walk the world having to coexist and live with certain conditions that some days I don't want to love myself. Some days I don't even want to get up. Some days I don't want to save my life because I'm tired. And that could be, it's a very specific experience. And it's very tricky because I feel like there's more ups and downs when it comes to like coming back up and resurrecting yourself to kind of like push forward and be the supportive and strong person. But what happens to the strong women when they get tired? Everything collapses. Yeah, well, we're collapsing too. I think continuing my work of accepting all parts of me, all identities of me, can be tricky because you get to a point where you're advocating for yourself finally, and then you enter this sort of like group of new people that some accept you for that, and then others make you feel like you're back in square one. There's something wrong with you for having a disability or an autoimmune disease that wasn't your fault. And those are not my people, and those are not your people. And I think sometimes it's easier to kind of like conform into that because of loneliness. And how to come out of that is sort of like always reminding myself that I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to feel a burden to other people. I want other people to support me. I don't want to be, I don't want to feel bad about a really big part of who I am. Because if anyone makes me feel bad, or that I'm doing something wrong, or that I deserve something that I have to carry with me because it was no choice, are those really your people? Do you want them to be your people? I will admit that sometimes I drink the Kool-Aid for way too long, and then I get sick of the Kool-Aid and I want to make my own Kool-Aid. And that, even of itself, is like a constant grieving process of like being on the same wavelength of someone, having that connection, and then them saying something that's super ableist, and then you're like, ooh, not my people, oops. But then grieving that you finally found something that you connect with in this aspect, but not in this one. And I think when it comes to self love, when you hold multiple identities, it's so frustrating and so difficult to find people that accept every part of you, not only the parts that are convenient to them, so they turn a blind eye to the other parts of you that need to be more protected or feel more safe in order to exist. Which is like just like breathing, like just basic human decency when it comes to like finding out something new about someone and then saying a comment that makes it feel like they're not allowed to, oh, that's too much. It's like, oh, is my trauma too much for you? Is my trauma too much for you, or am I reflecting back work that's needed for you to confront your own trauma? So is it my trauma, or is it work you don't want to do? And when you walk in this world with multiple identities, it can feel like you've mastered one and feel like you're in your, comfortable in your skin and one, and then the world turns on your other one. And so you're having to sort of balance all this while still doing a lot of other things to stay alive. It was National Diabetes Awareness Month in November, and I had this whole like plan to like, I finally accept this, like I want to be more open to talking about it and like spreading awareness. And then diabetes made me really tired, and I was like, I need to recharge and take care of me so that I can keep surviving in this constant state of survival mode that I have to make. I think I saw a statistic as some of the like diabetes awareness like graphics and like infographics and stuff that I was like looking at to like save and like share. Like the average diabetic has to make like 183 more decisions a day than, and that stat alone made me so tired. I don't count how many times I make extra decisions. I just always have to make extra decisions in order to keep myself alive. And I'm funny because trauma of it. And for the longest time, it was always so hard to like have conversations about what this, forever disease thing, like there is no cure. So whether or not you change your treatment plan of like being on injections versus being on a pump, like new technology and ways to make your life easier to live with it, you still have to live with it. It's not something that can like just disappear to make other people feel better about not having to think about it. And so it's been really refreshing this year in my year of Receive that I finally met. The universe brought me a type 1 diabetic friend where we've been able to have like really candid conversations. There's no one else I've really had been able to have like a truly deep, candid conversation where I can say things in a safe space, except for my therapist, where it's like, ooh, that's borderline. I don't know if I could say that in public because people might think some thoughts about me. Um, and that is my neighbor slash friend now, Jasmine Brown, who's a fellow T1D. And I'm really excited to talk to her and have a conversation about being gentle with yourself while you're sort of like having this extra multiple identity that you have to like walk through the world with, and how some days might feel harder than others already just by existing on top of like a possible chronic illness that you have to continue to like take care of yourself and put yourself first for, and how that affects like loving yourself on good days and bad days, on highs and lows. It sort of prompted me to think about how gentle am I being with myself, and how much do I need that reminder constantly? Because there are some things, a lot of what I've lived through is very like siloed experience, and like tools like therapy are really helpful because I have things to bounce off. Like, no, Monica, it's not normal that you have to think about death as more often than the normal population. Like, that's, oh, big epiphany moment of how hard it is to continue to love yourself when you're battling against the odds of not just being a woman of color, but having an extra sort of thing that forces you to have to think about things and make decisions constantly to move forward in life, and how difficult that can be when it comes to loving yourself because you're so used to just having to survive for yourself and starting there as a basis of foundation to the relationship that you have with yourself. Being able to trust your body, that took me a long time to like finally dismantle and like talk through to feel safe because my body had betrayed me 17 years ago. And so I think it's just worth a topic to consider and discuss because there are a lot of us that, hear all this self care talk, all this self love talk, and it's great. But we also have to go through this like survival mode that's impossible to break and impossible to stop. So, how does that impact the journey in terms of finding days that to rest and like setting better boundaries and advocating for the reason why I'm tired instead of like powering through it to not seem weak or or a inconvenience to someone that doesn't have to think about these things. I think I've been really leaning into channeling my sacred feminine rage and just being like, this is who I am in all forms. If it's too much for you, thanks for telling me I should not trust you with my safety. If I'm too much for you, you are not safe for me. Because I still, at the end of the day, have to make sure I survive the day. And if that's too much for you, I don't think you can save my life if I were to need that. And that is literally, but also metaphorically, right? Um, I think people have a hard time grasping what it's like to live a harder life than theirs. Because then they have to question and like change their ways to have a better, equal world for everyone. And as we enter these next 4 years, which will put a lot of us back in survival mode again, I think it's very triggering. And why a lot of us are not okay or are still processing that is because we're having to take a few steps back to make sure we feel safe in order to continue moving forward. And not everyone has to take a few steps back to make sure they feel safe. They can just move about the cabin and only worry about, whether or not they should go to Thanksgiving. And for some of us, it's a little bit more complicated than that. So, when it comes to your self love journey and being gentle with yourself, know that it's harder to say than actually do. But saying it and practicing it and getting back up when you are ready to is a form of safety and being gentle with yourself. You're not going to be at the same level of gentleness and strength as everyone else some days. And that itself, in awareness and acknowledging that about yourself, is strength because you know yourself and you know what you need to recharge yourself so that you can keep going and find those people that fill your cup and make you feel safe in all parts of your identity. Because the whole radical form of self love is accepting all parts of yourself. So, why would you welcome people that don't like certain parts of you? It's hard to hear. But once you start accepting and loving every version of you, those that don't accept that version of you or that part of you or feel like it's a little too difficult to talk about, those are not your people. And I know sometimes it can feel lonely, but I would rather not abandon myself, all of parts of myself, any part of myself, than abandon a part of me just so that I can feel some form of connection. And I think that's radical self-love. And it's brave self-love. So, walking forward into these survival mode years again, as if every year isn't a survival mode for me, the determination and tenacity to keep myself alive is a skill I will lean into. And I hope our conversation sheds a little awareness, a little light in what it's like, and also reminds you to take into account all the versions of you and all the parts of you that make you who you are, and welcome other parts of others to also feel safe too. And so, my fellow T1Ds, any diabetics out there, shout out to y'all. You are the warriors. And I love that part of you. Hi, Jasmine.
Hi, Monica.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, and Jude. Jude is down on the floor as well. We're having a little bit of a different setup because Mercury has Gatorade and tech is fun to challenge you to be a problem solver.
Yeah.
But we're also going to be coloring, which we'll share at the end what it ends up looking like. Because Jasmine, why don't you tell us, like, what do you do?
Okay. So I'm Jasmine. I'm a recreational therapist. I work in mental health, which basically means that I educate people on the importance of recreation and leisure.
Ooh. And how long have you, or what made you, like, want to do something like that?
Well, I originally wanted to be like an athletic trainer when I was going to school. And then I saw a presentation during like orientation, and I was like, oh wow, like that seems like really awesome and cool to do. Like I want to do that. So I switched my major and haven't looked back.
What is something people don't really know about when you talk about like recreational therapy? Like, what is that?
So that's a great question. So like it's a really good question because like even like my dad is like, oh yeah, you're a physical therapist, and I'm like, wrong. So great question, but it's just like I said, like teaching people like why like recreation and leisure are important, and like how it plays a part in like our mental health or like in our daily lives, especially when people work like stressful jobs or they're like having stressors from like external things like they can't control. It's just like a way to like reground yourself and like do a little woosah like at the end of the day or in the morning, to where you can just like find some balance and like engage in an activity that you're passionate about.
What are some of your favorite recreational activities?
Well, we're about to do one. Anyone that works with me knows that my like notebook is filled with journals. Like my notebook is filled with journals. Oh my gosh. My notebook is filled with doodles.
Yes.
So like every meeting I'm like doodling, like taking notes about like the kids, and like that's how I focus. So yeah, we're about to do one of my favorites, which is coloring and doodling.
Coloring and doodling. I used to color when I was a kid, and that was like a really big, maybe I didn't know at the time, but like stress reliever or like meditative practice. Because for me, it's hard to just kind of like sit still and meditate, but I feel like coloring is a great way for me to meditate without, like, I'm focused in a way that is soothing and calming, but I'm also being creative, which I think is something that's really important to me and how I self-care.
Yeah.
Which, how do you like to self-care?
I personally like to crochet for my self-care or go for a walk. Or, like, more specifically, like a hike. I love a good hike. So either, like, I'm in my office and I'll set a timer for like 10 minutes and I'm like, okay, that was either like a really stressful meeting, or it was like, oh man, that meeting was like really super awesome. It's got me all like hyped up. Like, I need to do something with like this extra energy because it was just so great. And I'm like, I'll crochet. So I'll just sit there, crochet for a little bit, like refocus and just like, you know, do something positive while also like, okay, like running over like a replay in my mind of like how like the meetings were or how group went, or like if, you know, one of like my staff, like coworker friends, like tell me like, hey, like this is happening in my life, blah blah blah, and I'm like, oh wow, like that's really exciting, and I'm like, like I'm excited for people. So I just need something that's like, again, calming and like recentering and just, you know, not like playing games on my phone or like brain rotting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like helping with overstimulation too, because I remember, I mean, I didn't have a phone growing up, but like there were other things that I did have that helped center me.
Okay.
And coloring was definitely one of those things. Playing outside.
Painting.
Yes, painting.
Using chalk.
Love chalk.
Yeah.
I didn't actually, I think I was an adult until I realized I was using it not wrong, but like actually like moving the color gives it a lot more. I would be frustrated because it's like I didn't know how to use chalk properly, but I have learned.
Okay.
I am adult years old now.
You're
that
adult
I know.
years old.
No one taught me how to use chalk until I was an adult.
I love that for you though. Like you overcome some stuff in order to use chalk.
That is very true.
Like, that's awesome. You learned a new skill as an adult.
I feel like I'm always learning new skills as an adult, which is good because it keeps life fun.
Yeah. Like skating.
Like skating, which is something we do. We started going to a skating group that we found on Instagram. My Southern came out. Called
good.
Thanks. BIPOC Skaters of Austin, which has been like a really fun community that we've kind of found. I wanted to go learn how to skate in a safe environment. And then it ended up being like more than I thought. Like we met this individual, shout out to Oscar, who like noticed we were having trouble kind of getting
the confidence.
Like building
confidence to like be on like these 8 wheels, like, okay, like now I have to move and then I have to stop and then I have to turn, you know, without falling down.
It was a big trust. There's been a lot of trust with yourself that I was not expecting to learn while skating. Like I just wanted to go have fun and then realized how much of it was like critical to trusting your body, trusting yourself.
Being aware of like your body space and like how you move.
Yes, which has been a really great thing that I think has brought at least me joy recently. Is there anything else that's brought you joy recently?
Brought me joy recently. I have celebrated walking over 30 miles.
Wait, since when? Like this month?
Like in the last month, yeah. Like in the last 4 weeks.
That was a good high five.
That was very crisp. That was very crisp.
That's awesome.
Thanks. It's like a part of work. So, yeah.
On the days that you don't walk as much, do you miss it?
So that would be just like Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
And no, I don't miss it. Like, everyone needs a, everyone needs a break.
That's true. That's very true.
Your body has to rest. Like, if you walk 10 plus miles in a week, you would be tired.
That's crazy.
Like, I'm very proud of, like, my fitness rings. Like, I'm, like,
Mm-hmm.
closing them up. Yeah. Like, it feels
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Good accomplishment.
Thank you. Plus, like, it's like, I'm getting paid to do this because it
That's a
happens at
perk.
work. Mm-hmm. And it's just, like, a nice way sometimes to just, like, like, is,
Yes.
not, like, zone out, but just, like, reach, like, a calm state where you're just, like, walking,
Yes.
listening to music, engaging in conversation,
Mm-hmm.
and just, like, not feeling stress or pressure.
Yes. I
Mm-hmm.
rely on walking a lot, actually, as another, like, form of desensitizing overstimulation, or like I
Really?
need when I have a really long meeting,
Mm-hmm.
I have to take Jude on a walk because I need to decompress.
Yeah.
Or when I'm writing, I usually need to go take a walk to work through an idea that I have.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like walking has been something that's served multiple purposes for me, and I can, when I'm not walking, I mean, like, we both have dogs, so like we have to
Yeah.
walk our dog, and I start to feel like my mental health kind of like slide a little bit. I'm like, I should probably go for a walk. I should go outside for a little bit. And you love the outdoors
I do.
because you also go to a bunch of national parks,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
What made you, or what was your discovery about that? Have you always wanted to? Like, has it always been like a bucket list for you, or?
No, so actually growing up, um, we went camping a lot because it was like something like like everyone in the family could do. It was something affordable. It was something fun. Like it got us out of
Mm-hmm.
the city. Like literally, like we were put in nature,
Yeah.
and it was just like a different kind of bonding experience, like with your family.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
I love that because I've actually never been camping as a type 1.
Really,
Yeah.
we gotta change that.
I know. I was like, who do I
We
know
gotta change
that I
that.
would feel safe,
Yeah,
that would show me the ropes? Because I think every time that I went camping, I hadn't been diagnosed yet. I was
that's
like
bananas.
younger.
Mm-hmm.
So you are an inspiration to me that it's possible.
It is possible. Thank you.
Yeah. How do you, what are like some tips for type 1 diabetics that want to go camping that you've learned?
Put your trash and your snacks inside of your tent at night.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Because animals.
Animals. Animals. Yep. I personally like to take like Starburst because they
Yeah,
don't
that's
like
your
melt.
emergency snack,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
You can eat like 4 and like woo, like pop back up and
Mm-hmm.
everything is good.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't melt like super fast.
Mm-hmm.
Plus it's just like you're just chewing on something or like however you want
Yeah.
to eat it. And then it's gone and you're like, wow, it was like a nice little treat on this trail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like a little sweet treat, you know?
Sweet treat.
Yeah, like a sweet treat on the trail.
So what's it like being a type 1 diabetic, Jasmine?
Uh,
Not that I would know.
Not right. Not that you don't have personal experience. Um, well, it's like another full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Well, I was gonna say no shit.
Oh,
But
you can cuss. You
Oh,
can cuss.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah, like no shit, like you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Mm-hmm. Like literally. But it's like another job. It's like a part of like your
Mm-hmm.
24/7, if you will, because
Mhm.
even when you're sleeping, you know, your body is still doing stuff to try to regulate, and you have to do stuff before going to bed
Yep.
in order to keep it, regulated. So it is a 24-hour job, but it's like a thankless one.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel sometimes. Like it's like a thankless job,
Yeah.
but then when I go and like get my A1C done, it's like, oh, you're like, 7.2 or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, hell yeah. Like I'm doing great. Like go me. Like my body's in like a good place.
Right.
Like I've been like taking care of myself,
Right.
at least trying to.
Right.
Yeah. So like that's like always reassuring. Like, okay, this pays off.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever, whenever I get my A1C, I always get like report card anxiety.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe it that way. We were just like waiting in the waiting to hear what you got on this like 3-month test.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy how that feeling still follows you even after you're not in school anymore.
Oh my goodness.
But what's something that you wish people knew about diabetes that people don't really, or they forget about, or they're just so focused on being stereotypical.
That it can truly happen at like any age.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like whether you're fit or unfit, you know, like what race you are, like it affects everyone everywhere. So like that's, I think, like I feel like one of like the humbling parts about diabetes is like it doesn't discriminate.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's very true.
It like doesn't discriminate. It's like boom, zap, here you go. And you're just like,
life change.
Forever.
Forever.
Like there's no fixing it, there's no going back.
Right.
You embrace it, or you know.
Yeah. I feel like for me, I don't think people know enough about how much it impacts our mental health.
Yeah.
Because to your like full-time job thing, like I think I saw like a statistic that like diabetics make 183, or type 1 diabetics make 183 more decisions a day on average than other people.
Yeah.
And even that made me really tired to like, because I don't count, but like it's like you said, it's like I don't think about it, but I have to kind of be on autopilot to just always be saving my life at any given moment. And how much that affects my mental health in ways that I can't quite explain to other people. But we've had really great, candid conversations that I feel have helped me, because it can be really isolating.
It can.
And, you know, you have supportive partners and, like, family members and friends, but no one truly gets the dying joke.
No. It's
the trauma the humor brings.
Dark humor, but it's true. Nobody gets it.
Yeah,
unless you know.
Yeah, if you know, you know. But one of the things that I had talked to my therapist a lot about is like realizing how much I process the possibility of dying more often than the regular human being. Diabetes entered the chat. Her Dexcom beeped at her Apple Watch. But again, proof. It literally, like, we're having a regular conversation and it just was like, hey, remember me?
Yeah.
It's literally, that is such a perfect example of what an interruption could look. And then, like, we just kind of, like,
just
go back. But it takes a lot of mental strength and skill to be able to attain that. I don't know about you, but I remember when I first was diagnosed, like, the first year, I really caught onto this, like, perfectionism cycle.
Yes.
And then I got exhausted of it because you were actually the one that did my math right. And I was like, I've had it for 15 years. And you were like, no, 17, girl. And then I was like, oh, God, I just got extra tired.
Oh, sorry.
You're right. No, I needed the girl math.
Reality check. Hey. Surprise.
Because you were diagnosed when you were 12, right?
Yes.
And I was 15. So she's a little veteran. She's got a couple more years on me. Just But yeah, I remember it being this, like, I have to be perfect. And that you cannot do that for 17 years.
No.
It's
like, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, but it's like, you can't expect perfection when you're going through some of, like, the most, like, developmental, like, formative years of your life. Like, you're trying to become a person, you're trying to deal with new feelings or, like, new situations, you're trying to, like, navigate and figure out your future, because that's, you know, sooner than you think.
Right.
And it's just a lot of stress, because you're also then trying to manage, like, okay, you know, how do I explain to this, you know, substitute teacher that I have a low blood sugar and I need to leave class? Like, how do I explain to, like, this person I'm trying to be friends with, like, hey, if we hang out and something happens, you might have to, like, stab me in the leg with a needle and save my life.
Right. And then they look at you like, what?
Yeah, I'm pretty much like, huh? What do you mean? Yeah. And you're just like, I got diabetes. And they're like, that's for old people. And you're like, well.
Right. Yeah. And then it's, like, the emotional labor of, like, at least for me, sometimes using humor as a way to, like, explain it to people so that they don't freak out on me. And it's like, can you save my life or not? No? Okay, gotta go find someone else.
Yeah, it's like a true test of friendship, and just like, hey, you got the balls, and you know, you got the brains to do this. Like, can you handle this?
Right.
Like, literally, my life is in your hands, brother. Like, you gonna
You're
show
gonna step
up?
up to, yeah, you're gonna show
Yeah.
up or not. And I think a lot of my life I spent sort of like not talking about it and just
Mm-hmm.
like going off to the side and trying to save my life without anyone knowing.
Yeah.
Which has definitely changed, but I don't think people understand the like just all the extra stuff that we have to worry about when
Mm-hmm.
it's literally like God, I wish all I had to do was like not eat donuts,
Oh my God.
which is like so stupid.
Don't drink soda.
Right, we
Don't have
can
sweets.
literally actually like sweets would save our lives.
Mm-hmm.
If you injected us with insulin. I had someone be like, "What? So I just give you insulin?" And I was like,
No.
"Oh dear God,
That's not how this works.
you would kill me."
Read a book. Google it. Ask a friend. Ask a diabetic.
Google it.
Yeah.
Literally. How many times have you felt like exhausted of just like trying to explain yourself to people?
I feel like that's like a loaded question. So, celebrating 20 plus years of diabetes. Yeah.
Proud of you.
Thank
I'm
you.
so happy you've decided to continue to stay alive.
Honestly, you know?
Cause if that was your only option, you'd probably choose it too.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. Like, you only have two options. And I have a feeling I know which one everyone's going to pick.
Right. Not die? Maybe? I don't know.
A slow and painful death. Dude, oh my God. Like,
yeah, what's the worst thing someone's ever told you?
that they wanted their diabetes to kill them.
What?
Yes. And this person was an amputee. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
See, it can get kind of dark, y'all.
Just a bit.
Trigger
warning.
Trigger warning there. But, I mean, I hate to admit it, and it's one of the reasons I'm in therapy. Like, I've been there.
Mm-hmm.
I've thought about times where I'm like, do I really want to eat this fruit snack? Or do you think I could fall asleep and wake up?
And be okay. Yeah.
So it's just like decisions like that, which I think, at least for me, it's been like a part of myself that I've had to continue to kind of like accept and like love.
Mm-hmm.
What's something that has helped having diabetes like in your self-love journey? Like, what has it taught you to help love yourself more?
That I can't control other people's reactions to
That's
it.
a good one.
Or emotional reactions to it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't control their curiosity or their, lack of knowledge.
Right.
So it's taught me just to be open to like educating people who don't know about it and being patient. Like, most of all, being patient with people.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people, want to say that they're right or like they know better.
Yeah.
You're just kind of like, well, I'm kind of living with this every day, and I have been for over 20 years, so.
Right.
Not that I'm a doctor or anything, but I do have some life experience.
Yeah.
More than that commercial with diabetes probably taught you. Just saying, or your granny,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's so true. Patience for me too. It's taught me patience. It's also taught me like you can't be perfect. Like there's like perfectionism literally doesn't exist. Like no matter what you do, like let's say you count your carbs, you eat right, you exercise, you do everything to like try to make a good blood sugar, it will betray you in an instant, and it will be the most frustrating spiral, either up or down.
Low-key diabolical.
Touche. Checkmate. I guess like on that same, how much like of our mental health it like requires of us.
It requires
a lot. What's a tool that you recently, or like what's a tool that has helped your mental health?
A tool that's helped my mental health. Finding a good outlet. Like finding like someone to confide in, or like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, your favorite pen and a great journal, and just like
Little
word
things.
vomiting.
Yeah.
Like just some way to express like how you're feeling and what's going on the inside, or like even just like drawing like weird creepy little pictures,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or like poems or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, but just like
You're
getting
doodling.
it out there. Yeah. Just like getting it out there and expressing like, hey, this is how I'm feeling, this is what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you don't like truly get it, maybe you can just like empathize with it for a little bit.
Yeah.
But just, yeah, like it is very time consuming. It's emotionally draining.
It is emotionally draining.
Yes, some days like mentally exhausting. Like especially like if you don't sleep well, you didn't eat right.
Yeah.
You know, if you were sick.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe the day
Everything.
before was like a bad day, and now like you're really stressed and your blood sugars shot up, and you were like extra bolusing and nothing was helping. You know, and sometimes it's like that.
Yeah.
Where you just need to like, this is out of my control. I've done what I can. Time to reset.
Yes, lots of letting go, because you've literally done everything you can to possibly not sometimes save your life, but then also like just counteract all the external factors that make your blood sugar go high. It's not just food. Like food is one thing, but it's like there's a plethora of reasons why that can happen, and even just being on your period.
Yep.
Like literally there's nothing I can do because my body's changing.
Ups and downs.
Literal ups and downs.
Like a roller coaster.
Wait, did you ever have a crush on Nick Jonas?
More so like I wanted to use his diabetes to like get backstage. I was like, if I could like figure out a way
keep going,
to like befriend Nick Jonas.
Right.
I'd be like, yo buddy, we can be cool.
Yeah.
I just wish your friendship and backstage privileges. Still do. Just being honest.
Yeah, y'all are both married, so y'all are good.
Yeah, we're
just for
fine.
The perks.
Completely fine. Yeah, like strictly platonic.
Yeah.
Just hook me up. I love music.
Yeah.
Love going on tour. I have my passport.
Yeah.
Obviously love music. Let's go. Like, I will.
I love that.
Provide recreational therapy to all of your crew. Help them de-stress every single day.
Yes.
I will do that.
Yeah, I had a huge crush on him because I thought he was the only one that could understand me.
Oh my goodness. Nah, it was.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't that. Yeah.
Like, oh shit.
I grew up. I became an adult and realized that's not always the case.
I'm just being honest. See, I would be always honest with you.
I know. Yes, you're true about that, and I appreciate you. What's something you want to work on next year that will help you love yourself more?
So, not only do I want to like continue like my own mental health journey, but I would like to like engage in more physical activities just to like better my body. Because you know the clock only goes in like one direction, and we only have like one body that we have to be our vessel throughout this weird journey. So yeah, that's what I want to do. Try to like better my body. Yes. Oh, did I tell you about my gray hair?
No.
Oh my god, dude, look. She's growing.
Oh, I see it.
Yes.
Jude sees it.
Hi, Jude.
Jude has entered the chat.
Yes. Hello, baby. And I'm getting another one over here. It's crazy.
It's because you're wise.
I love that they're like right here.
Yeah, it's like, it's because you're wise.
I love them. Thank you. I love them.
How are we looking?
I think we're looking pretty darn good.
Look what we have so far. It's looking beautiful. Ooh, can I pull a tarot card for you?
Absolutely. Love.
Jasmine chose the lovely Animal Spirit deck.
Yes.
I don't think I've used this one on you before.
No.
Let's see. A card for Jasmine. Card for Jasmine.
Love the accent.
Ooh, one flick. Ooh, the owl.
Ooh, love owls. And is this not fire?
I think it's air.
Oh, okay. No.
But let's see. Maybe it has something to do with that. Okay, I always like to read the description of the card. I show the card.
I love that it's an owl.
Here, you can look at it while I read it. The three words are abundance, clairvoyant, and treasures. The owl is a mysterious and otherworldly creature found in folklore from east to west. The white owl in this particular deck is the companion of the goddess Lakshmi and represents wealth, beauty, and good fortune. When the owl card appears, it's an omen that a boon or treasure is on the way, either in spiritual or material form. With owl wisdom on your side, you'll see and know exactly what to do with this boon, how it can further serve your dharma and bring abundance to the world. Trust that the wellspring of treasures is infinite.
I
think that's
like that
theme you've been like abundance and like good things are coming, right?
Yeah.
Like blessings.
I identify with this.
Well, it says to bring into balance an offering, and you brought me string cheese.
I did bring
as
you
an
string
offering.
cheese. Wow.
You already knew.
Clairvoyance.
Look at that.
What are the odds?
I think looking at it, it's sort of like trusting your intuition within. And I think you know the answers sometimes, and they kind of freak you out to know. And it's okay to know. It's part of like trusting your mind.
Sure? Okay.
Yeah. It's okay to have knowledge and power. Jude's destroying the bed. Yeah, think of them as gifts.
Love that.
You deserve gifts.
Everyone does, yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
How about some lovely advice as a farewell? Jude! Okay.
I would say, if you can, take every opportunity that you're given. Does that make sense? If an opportunity arises, if you can, say yes. Like, I don't know, at least I try to be like a yes person.
What was the first thing you said? You said take every opportunity that's given?
Yeah, or like that arises, like if you can.
I love that. Because then it will open new doors. New opportunities.
For sure. New experiences.
New adventures.
Yes. Or like, have like a why not attitude.
Why not?
Why not?
And with that, shout out to Hilary Duff. Thank
Iconic.
you for sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to keep coloring now. Farewell, travelers.
Bye.
What a lovely conversation. Very relatable, at least to me. I mean, I don't think you have to be diabetic to sort of like understand this sort of notion of having to always conform parts of your identity to fit in and then like abandon those parts of you, which then sort of like leads down a deeper sense of healing in your own self-love journey and accepting those parts of yourself again. And I wanted to kind of end on this lovely letter that I wrote back in 2018, which I don't even remember what I was going through, but anytime I pick a letter, it seems to always fit. And I have not read this beforehand either, so you're going to get a live reading again. So I'm just going to go ahead and dive in and send us off with a little lovely letter hug, because I think we all need it. I do. Okay. Dear lovely, you don't owe them anything. You don't owe them an apology for being who you are. You don't owe them an explanation on who you are becoming. Your transformation is between you and your universe, the light that lives within you. You don't owe them anything. Whenever you feel guilty, love, pause and reflect. Ask yourself where that guilt is coming from. Can you meditate to find the source? Can you grab a piece of paper and write it out for you to read? Dissect the feeling and detach yourself from the heavy pain. Let go of that pain. Set it free for the universe to recycle into love. You don't owe them anything. You don't have to explain your truth. You don't have to tell them what you're working on. You don't have to always share. Whenever you feel ashamed, hold yourself gently. Pause and reflect. Be bold. Be confident. Don't yell at yourself. Remember, be gentle. There are things you can keep to yourself. There are things that are meant to be only for you. If you want to share but are not ready to, that is okay. We are all on different timelines. There's no need to compare. There's no need to rush. Take your time, love. They'll just have to wait. You don't owe them anything. You don't have to share every part of yourself with everyone. You don't have to be afraid that they'll only remember you from that one encounter. Sure, first impressions matter, but the impression that lasts forever is the one you're constantly working on. If someone is meant to be in your life, you will have the opportunity to continue to unveil your true whole self to them, but one at a time and not to all. Unveil it to yourself first, because you don't owe them anything, but you do owe yourself everything. With love. Monica. And that's the episode. I hope you're inspired to love yourself a little more than you did yesterday, and you're on your way to finding a lovely life you love. If you want to read more about my self love journey, head over to findalovelylife.com. Subscribe, rate, and share this podcast if you feel called to. Remember that your self love journey can start or restart at any point. There are no rules. Stay connected with us on social at Find a Lovely Life, or if you want to see more of Monica Life, you can find me at Lovely Monica, and that's spelled LOVELEEMONICAA. I'll say goodbye for now. Thanks for listening. Until next time.